So I got on some of the Christian websites, the dating websites, and I made my profile, and I was looking at men's profiles, and it's a scary world. And I found this guy after I started looking, and probably just a couple weeks later, I found a guy who, his profile picture was a parachuter, and it was Larry.
And the funny part about that is that I had just gotten on the website. It was a day I had off, and I just decided to find out all the questions you have to answer. The first day she answered me back. And I'm glad, because it is a scary world out there. When I first connected with Nancy, I didn't see any of the pictures of who she was. All I saw were her words. All I heard was her talking to me. And that's what really moved my heart. And when we started to talk about things like how our relationship should progress, she shared with me an outline that she already written up about how she envisioned the dating process to go. I really appreciated that setup, because I agreed with everything. It was very intentional, very careful, very protective of each other, and very honorable and honoring to one another. The next to last step before meeting each other is that I would have to meet her dad. Now, he's 90 at the time, and I just thought that was great. Here's a woman in her 50s who wants me to meet her dad before I could meet her. He's her protector, and he's wise beyond his years to be able to help her gauge whether this is a guy that she should go ahead and meet. So I said, let's do this, and I called him right away, and we set up a time to meet for breakfast on Saturday so that I could go meet Nancy at church on Sunday. I was pretty excited, went out, got a corsage, and we met in the lobby at Calvary Church very publicly, and I was just overwhelmed to see her for the first time.
So people who know me and know my strong personality say, so what kind of a leader is Larry? Well, he answered that very early in our back and forth emails when he sent this to me.
Have you ever read Hind's Feet on High Places? I just had this thought about us based on that book. We are climbing the heights together. I am walking steadily along, and you are skipping around, jumping on the rocks and enjoying yourself. Between us, there's a magical rope that will instantly shrink or expand as long or as short as we need it. We keep watching each other, and when you start doing something crazy, grin, the rope tightens and I gently pull you back. In the same respect, if I'm a little too slow, the rope tightens and you gently pull me ahead. The rope then expands to give us as much room as we desire. Then there are times when I join you and we can jump and leap together. And there are other times when we walk side by side at a slower pace. And so we make our strange but crazy but delightful way up the mountainside together. We had our first opportunity to minister together when Nancy was asked to teach her Sunday school class at Calvary. We were especially impressed with a passage in Matthew 11 and how it was phrased in one of the versions of the Bible called The Message. I want to read it to you. It's from Matthew 11, 28 and 30. It says, "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." What a beautiful passage. It begins to resonate that walking with God is like a dance. We work with Him, we walk with Him, we see how He does it, and it becomes unforced. When you see two people dancing across a ballroom, it's a beautiful thing. And if the one stumbles a little bit, the other one can just sweep them up and keep them moving in beautiful, unforced rhythms of grace. We had a delightful time going back and forth and really found that our gifts complement each other and how we can express the riches of God's grace. So we look forward to how we can encourage other people to learn to live lightly and freely. The other day I was thinking about the past. I was thinking about all the good times that I had in my first marriage. And then somehow things went sideways and things fell apart. And I don't get that. Nancy has her own story, but in the same but very different way, her marriage didn't succeed either. And I don't get that. But I do know that God is a God of redemption, that He takes things that have turned upside down and redeems them and makes them beautiful again. There's a story of a salesman who was working on $1 million deal, and he blew it. Fell through, lost the company lots of money. And when he saw the boss the next day, the boss was just talking like nothing had happened. And the salesman finally said, "I don't get it, boss. I thought you were going to fire me." And the boss said, "Are you kidding me? I just invested $1 million in your education." Wow. There's been a lot of damage done in the past, and yet God uses those same experiences to educate us. And so Nancy and I come to this new relationship with a lot of education, a lot of awareness of ourselves, of our strengths, of our weaknesses, and ways to do things differently.
We've also had a lot of accountability, and I had 3 dating accountability partners, girls that were holding me accountable for my time and how I was spending it and the relationships that I was getting into, and they were sounding boards. And our pastor of counseling here at Calvary Church, and he assigned us a mentor couple. And I've done mentoring and teaching and preaching to women about marriage, and I was a little skeptical, and he had said, now take that workbook and work through it with this couple. And he said, you guys have been through a lot and you know a lot, and so if there are passages you want to skip, just let them know. And we talked to them and said, we want to go through the whole book because we want to see the whole process, and we want to do this to the very best of our ability. And this mentor couple has been amazing. She is so much like me, and he is so much like Larry. I think he might even be quieter than you are. And they've just been absolutely wonderful. And they've been married 58 years, and we just love them, and we don't lose them at the marriage ceremony. They continue with us, and they'll continue to hold us accountable. And so we're just thankful for good books and wise friends and great leaders.
And really the key is that they're providing tools, they're providing accountability, they're providing support, so that we are far better equipped this time around to be able to handle the differences and the similarities that we have, and to be able to do it positively.
But I would say that the best thing about our relationship has been the fact that Larry has prayed with me almost every morning and every night by phone or in person since we very first started dating. And I appreciate that spiritual leadership in my life and in our relationship more than I can begin to express. And we would just encourage every beginning couple to not settle for anything less than that kind of good, strong spiritual connection, as well as that safety and that communication in every other way. July 1st, it was over 7 months since we had first met, and I had kept saying, come on, I want to tell people, we've got the date for the wedding, for goodness sake. And so here he came in a suit coat and jeans, and he just looked so good. And we went to, we parked and we started to walk, and we ended up at the press room, which I love. And he'd made a reservation, and we sat in the window, and there was a band playing in the other window, and it was beautiful. And after we ordered, he said, I'll be back in a minute. And okay, so no problem. And I saw him go by the band and say something, but he's such a nice guy, I figured he was just saying, hey, good job, guys. And then the band song changed to L-O-V-E. L is for the way you look at me. Oh, And I just thought, oh, I love this song. And I thought, oh, this is a great song for us. And then I looked, and there he was coming toward me with a ring box. And it was just overwhelming. It all came together, and it was such a surprise. And that's sort of crazy because I was expecting it, but it was great.
And I didn't realize how much she was expecting it. Because after I proposed, and she accepted.
I was ready.
And then I sat down. She said, oh, and I have something for you.
Well, it's not fair that the guy plans this whole thing and all he gets is a yes. And so I planned my yes.
So she reached into her purse and she got out this little box. It says, I love you. And she said, oh, I got this up in Alaska. Well, this is July 1st, and she was in Alaska in May. So she'd been carrying it around since the end of May. And I said, oh, that's a very nice little box. She said, oh, but there's more. So then I looked at it again, and I found I could slide it open. And when you slide it open, inside it says, yes.